The night was heavy with silence. In San Fernando, Mexico, families gathered to celebrate Mother's Day. Mothers laughed. Children handed over handmade cards, and fathers poured glasses of soda and beer. It was supposed to be a day of love and family. But inside one small house, a storm was about to break loose. Suddenly, the silence shattered. The front door burst open. Armed men stormed inside, their footsteps thunderous against the tile floor. Miriam Rodríguez gasped. She knew instantly what was happening. For years, she had been both feared and admired. A mother who transformed grief into a weapon. A woman who stalked kidnappers, hunted gangsters, and wore disguises to trap killers. She carried fake IDs, wigs, pistols, and courage that seemed superhuman. But now, her enemies had come to silence her. Gunshots erupted. The echo of violence rang down the quiet street. Neighbors froze in terror. By the time Miriam's body was rushed to the hospital, it was too late. She died on the way, and with her last breath, she left behind one of the most astonishing, terrifying, and heartbreaking stories Mexico had ever seen. Let's rewind to the moment everything began. It was January 2012. Miriam's daughter, Karen, a bright 20-year-old, was driving through town when her car was blocked. Men with guns surrounded her. They dragged her from a vehicle and disappeared. Kidnapping in Mexico wasn't unusual. Entire towns lived in fear of cartels like Los Zetas. Families were often forced to pay ransoms, hoping their loved ones might return. Most of the time, they didn't. Miriam's phone rang that night. A voice, cold and commanding, said, "We have your daughter. Pay, or you'll never see her again." Miriam begged, pleaded, bargained. She sold possessions, scraped money together, did everything they asked, but days turned into weeks, weeks into months. And finally, word came. Karen was dead. Her body would later be found dumped in a shallow grave. That was the moment something inside Miriam broke, then hardened. Other families turned to the police, but the police were helpless, corrupt, afraid. Miriam? She turned into a one-woman army. She cut her hair, dyed it. She wore disguises, sometimes an old woman, sometimes a pollster, sometimes a health worker. She forged IDs and infiltrated places ordinary people wouldn't dare step foot in. She had one mission: track down, one by one, every single person involved in her daughter's kidnapping and murder. The first suspect was a young florist. He seemed harmless, smiling as he sold roses. But Miriam knew better. She had followed leads, listened to whispers, and discovered his role. One afternoon, she walked into his shop, her disguise flawless. She smiled back, ordered flowers, and calmly slipped information from him piece by piece. When she was ready, she tipped off the police. And for once, they acted. The florist was arrested. It was the beginning. But Miriam didn't stop. She hunted another suspect working as a babysitter. She trailed a man selling CDs at a market stall. She followed cartel members into bars, bus stations, even parties. Imagine it. An ordinary mother blending into crowds, watching, waiting, memorizing. She would sit in her car for hours, staking out safe houses. She learned cartel routines, their slang, their codes. And each time she got close enough, she found a way to tip off the authorities. Each arrest was a victory. By 2017, Miriam had been directly responsible for taking down nearly 10 members of Los Zetas. A single mother, armed with disguises and pure determination, was dismantling a cartel cell piece by piece. But with every success, danger grew. Whispers spread. The cartels knew someone was stalking them. At first, they thought it was rival gangs. But soon, they realized the truth. It was a mother, just one woman, and they vowed to make her pay. Miriam's friends begged her to stop. They reminded her that she had other children. They reminded her that the cartels didn't forgive. But Miriam only said one thing: "I promise my daughter justice, and I will not stop." By May 2017, Miriam had a target on her back. She knew it. Everyone knew it. But on May 10th, Mother's Day, she stayed home with her family. She had flowers on the table, photographs of her children nearby. That night, as the streets grew quiet, Shadows moved toward her house. The door smashed open. Armed men stormed in. Miriam tried to fight, but the gunshots came fast. Neighbors heard the blasts, then silence. She collapsed, bleeding, her body carried to the hospital. But it was too late. The woman who had brought down a cartel with nothing but courage, disguises, and grit was gone. Her funeral drew crowds. Some wept, others whispered. How could a government, with all its power, fail where one woman had succeeded? How could a mother be braver than entire institutions? To many, Miriam became a symbol of Mexico's struggle, a symbol of justice in a country drowning in corruption and fear. But to others, her story was a warning, because when ordinary people are forced to become warriors, it means the system itself is broken. Miriam's story isn't just about revenge. It isn't just about one mother's bravery. It's about a world where justice failed so deeply, one woman had no choice but to become the law herself. And it's about the cost of that choice. Her mission destroyed a cartel cell, but it also marked her for death. She lived as a hero, but she died as a target. What does Miriam's story teach us? That courage can change the world. That love can fuel justice. But also, that societies must protect the vulnerable, or mothers like Miriam will always have to walk into the darkness alone. This was the story of Miriam Rodríguez, the mother who hunted down a cartel. A story of vengeance, bravery, and tragedy. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Share it. Talk about it. Keep her memory alive. And if you want more stories like this, dark, raw, and unforgettable, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to Dark Crime Archives, and turn on notifications. Because in every shadow, there's another story waiting to be told.